Have you ever heard the tale of a divine vision that marked the beginning of a grand civilization? Imagine a time when the Aztecs were seeking a new home. Their god, Huitzilopochtli, gave them a sign: an eagle perched atop a cactus. This strange vision guided them south, leading to the founding of Mexico Tenochtitlan, a place destined to become the heart of a great empire.
That story gives me chills every time. But who exactly were the Aztecs? Today, we'll dive into the fascinating world they built, from their rise out of the lands of Mesoamerica to the amazing civilization they created. In this podcast, we'll journey back in time to explore how the Aztecs left their mark on history and became one of the largest empires the world has ever known.
Let's kick off our discussion on the origins of the Aztecs by zooming out to see the larger picture, the canvas where they painted their history. The Aztecs were part of the Mesoamerican civilization, a region that spans from northern central Mexico to the Pacific coast of Costa Rica. This was a vibrant and culturally rich area where different tribes thrived, providing a backdrop for the emergence of the Aztec people.
Absolutely. And a key moment in their rise was the founding of Tenochtitlan in 1325 in the Valley of Mexico, a region that's now Mexico City. The location was strategic, providing a central hub for trade and defense. This city eventually grew into one of the largest and most influential cities in the ancient world, serving as the heart of the Aztec Empire. But how did they reach this place? It's believed they were connected to the Toltecs, a civilization that flourished in northern Mexico, leaving their mark on Aztec culture and religious practices.
The Toltecs' influence indeed played a crucial role in the shaping of Aztec identity. However, it's the myths that captivate our imagination the most. According to Aztec mythology, their god, Huitzilopochtli, directed them southward with a divine sign, a majestic eagle perched on a cactus. This vision was said to have guided their migration and informed the founding of Tenochtitlan, symbolizing divine intervention in their journey.
That legend is quite something. It portrays the mysterious and powerful forces believed to be behind their expansion. What's intriguing is that the Aztec people referred to themselves as the Mexica, not the Aztecs. The term Aztec is derived from Azteca, meaning people from Aztlan, which was considered to be their mythical homeland in northern Mexico. This rich tapestry of mythology, migration, and cultural ties paints a dynamic picture of their origins.
As we move deeper, let's look at the political system that helped the Aztec Empire rise and thrive. The Aztec civilization is often divided into two main periods, the early Aztec era and the late Aztec era. The early era saw the start of small city-states, some of which were established as early as the 12th century. This was a time when different groups were laying the groundwork for the empire that would later come to dominate central Mexico.
That's a great starting point. It's fascinating to think about how these city-states operated. The Aztecs had a despotic rule, where kings and quasi-kings governed their territories. Each city-state had its own leader, but they often interacted, whether through military alliances or trade. However, just as often, they experienced conflict, as these interactions were unstable and could change rapidly.
These changes were a part of life back then, and many of the power struggles were due to the ever-changing allegiances and battles for dominance. The political world of the Aztecs was a complex web of relationships between over 50 city-states, mainly tied together by tributes and taxes. Their leaders collected these tributes to maintain their status and power, but this system also oppressed many of the common people living under their rule, who found themselves paying for the grandeur of their rulers.
The dynamic interactions between these city-states made the political landscape quite unpredictable. At times, city-states would come together under one ruler for mutual benefit, such as trade and military cooperation. Yet, these alliances were not always strong, and rivalry often led to wars. Ultimately, these complexities were both a strength and a weakness, providing barriers to unity while also enabling them to adapt and survive through flexible alliances.
So imagine the year is 1428, and the Aztec people are at a critical point. They form what's known as the Triple Alliance between the city-states of Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlacopan. This was a major turning point for them. The alliance allowed these cities to consolidate their power and resources, creating a political powerhouse in the Valley of Mexico. The Aztecs were then poised to expand their influence throughout the region.
That alliance was absolutely key. Before it, there was a lot of tension between the Mexica, rulers of Tenochtitlan, and the Tepanecs, another powerful group in the valley. There was even a blockade set up by the Tepanecs as they tried to demand more taxes. But Moctezuma saw this as a chance to join forces with Texcoco and Tlacopan. Together, they were able to stand against this threat and lay the foundation for their own dominance.
The conflict with the Tepanecs really set the stage for the Aztecs' rise. With the backing of Texcoco and Tlacopan, Moctezuma was able to launch a successful military campaign against their common rival. By 1428, the combined forces of these allied city-states had broken the Tepanec power, which opened up a power vacuum that the Aztecs were quick to fill. Tenochtitlan, being the most prosperous and strategically located, became the heart of the new empire.
It's fascinating how they turned the tides. After defeating the Tepanecs, the Aztecs emerged as the leading force in the valley. They took advantage of the situation to solidify their rule, and this alliance created a unified front that allowed the Aztec Empire to thrive. By controlling different city-states, they extended their authority over the Valley of Mexico. This period was marked by strong political unity and marked the start of the Aztecs' ascent as a dominant empire.
So, moving on from the power they built, let's dive into the Aztecs' remarkable expansion efforts during the 1430s. After the formation of the Triple Alliance, the Aztecs didn't waste time. They set out on a series of campaigns to extend their reach beyond the confines of the Valley of Mexico. Their military ventures brought numerous regions like Chalco and Xochimilco under Aztec control. This expansion was a crucial step in solidifying their empire and ensuring their dominance.
These were not just random attacks, these were carefully planned strategies. It's important to recognize Moctezuma I's influence during this era. He was a visionary leader and played a huge role in this expansion. Under his reign, they didn't only conquer nearby city-states. Moctezuma also focused on strengthening the heart of their empire. He supervised the construction of important temples, like the Grand Temple of Tenochtitlan, which became a symbol of Aztec power and cultural identity.
But the Aztecs had their eyes set further. They looked beyond the valley, specifically towards the regions like Morelos and Oaxaca. Conquering these areas was not just about gaining land, but about demonstrating Aztec strength and ability to govern a diverse empire. The soldiers of Tenochtitlan continued their campaigns into these modern-day states, taking control of major cities like Cuernavaca. This expansion showed that the Aztec Empire was becoming an unstoppable force in Mesoamerica.
Absolutely. And it's impressive how vast the Aztec Empire became, extending over regions that were home to around 3 to 4 million people. Despite the distances, they managed to maintain control through a combination of military might and a structured system of rule over these conquered territories. This period of growth and consolidation was key to the Aztec Empire's longevity, as it laid the foundational structure that would support their rise as a dominant power in the Mesoamerican world.
Now that we've explored the expansion of the Aztec Empire, let's look at the social structure that supported this vast civilization. The Aztec society was structured into 3 main classes. At the top were the sovereigns and dignitaries. They played significant roles in the administration of the empire, making key decisions and overseeing the governance of the city-states. These groups held the most power and wealth, which enabled them to maintain the control and order needed to govern such a large territory.
That's right. While the upper classes had specific duties, the majority of the population comprised of commoners. From a young age, Aztec children were assigned roles based on gender. Boys were often expected to become warriors or follow in their father's footsteps professionally, while girls were taught domestic responsibilities like weaving and cooking. This division of roles ensured that everyone contributed to the community, although it also limited personal freedom to choose one's path in life.
In addition to commoners, there were the landless peasants and the slaves. Despite their challenging situations, upward mobility was not out of reach. Peasants often lost their land due to warfare and the constant shifting of power in the empire, which displaced many families. However, the Aztec society had mechanisms that allowed some movement between the social classes. Even slaves who were at the lowest rung had opportunities for improving their status, something quite unique compared to other societies of that time.
It's remarkable that the Aztec system, despite its strict hierarchy, offered paths for change. Slavery in the Aztec Empire was different from the harsh systems that later arrived with European colonization. Slaves could earn their release through hard work and loyalty. This nuanced social structure contributed to the strength and versatility of the empire. It shows how the Aztecs managed to build a society that, while divided by class, still allowed for some level of social movement and change.
As we continue our exploration, let's focus on the pivotal moment when the Europeans arrived in the New World. It all began with Christopher Columbus landing in the West Indies in 1492. He wasn't just marking new lands, he was setting off a chain of events. The stories of gold and riches in central Mexico spread quickly, and soon the Aztec Empire found itself in the sights of the Europeans looking to expand their influence.
The allure of such wealth and the tales of a grand empire spurred the Spanish on. They saw Mexico not only as a land of vast resources, but as an opportunity to extend their power and make their mark in history. There was this insatiable hunger for gold and new territories that drove them. It's this allure that set in motion the dramatic clash of civilizations that would ultimately lead to the fall of a great empire.
The Aztecs, with their rich culture and thriving empire, were unprepared for the kind of threat that arrived with the Spanish. Up till then, they had faced numerous rivals in Mesoamerica, but none like the Europeans with their advanced weaponry and new diseases. The Spanish had a different agenda, one that wasn't just based on conquest for land or dominance, but driven by economic and religious motives.
Indeed, the Spanish sought to convert the local populace to Christianity, adding a whole new layer to their conquest. But underlying this religious mission was a more earthly desire for wealth. The two motivations intertwined in the minds of these European explorers, making it clear that the Aztecs were facing a force that was different in both nature and objective from any they had encountered before. The seeds of decline were firmly planted with these new arrivals.
As we wrap up our journey into the heart of Aztec civilization, let's take a moment to reflect on the lasting legacy of this mighty empire. Their influence can still be felt in modern culture, from city names to traditional practices. History teaches us important lessons, reminding us to preserve the rich heritage of past civilizations. By understanding what came before, we can work towards a more informed and thoughtful future.
Thank you for joining us as we explored the wonders and complexities of the Aztec Empire. If you enjoyed our deep dive into history, please support our podcast by liking and commenting. Your feedback means the world to us. Don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories and insights on ancient civilizations. Stay tuned, as there are plenty of exciting topics coming your way. Until next time, keep exploring.